In southern Mexico, hidden deep among mountains and forests, lay the forgotten village of San Isidro. It was a place where time seemed to stand still. No streetlights, no telephones, just narrow alleys, old houses, and the river winding through the landscape like a snake. The villagers preferred to whisper in the evenings rather than talk, and when the sun went down, they lit candles as if darkness were something to protect themselves from. Everyone there knew the story of La Llorona. She was once a woman of incomparable beauty. She fell in love with a rich man, Don Rafael, who impregnated her, but then abandoned her to marry a woman of his own class. Heartbroken and mad with grief, she took her 2 young children to the river. There, while the moon was full and the night was quiet, she held them one last time and then let them disappear into the water. When she realized what she had done, she let herself be carried away by the same current. Her body was never found. But since that night, her spirit has wandered the land. They say she appears every full moon, crying along the river, calling out, "My children, where are my children?" She comes to those who hear her, and those who look into her eyes are cursed. Forever. Sofia, a young anthropology student from Mexico City, was determined to investigate these kinds of folk tales. Her thesis was about legendary female ghosts in Latin America, and La Llorona was her main point of interest. When she read about San Isidro, she decided to travel there. She wanted to experience the superstition for herself or debunk it with logic and science. The notebook, a recorder, and her camera, she arrived in the village just before sunset. She was welcomed by Dona Esperanza, an old woman with a sad look and a house full of statues of saints. At dinner, the woman hardly said a word, but when Sofia asked her about La Llorona, she froze. She looked Sofia straight in the eye, her voice barely more than a whisper. "You're here on the wrong night," she said. "Tonight is La Noche de las Almas, the night when the spirits return, and she's still searching." Sofia wanted to laugh, but the seriousness in the woman's eyes kept her quiet. Esperanza lit 3 candles and whispered a prayer. "If you hear something crying tonight, close your ears. Whatever you do, don't look outside." That night, Sofia woke up to something. Strange, cold feeling. No sound, no wind, just a threat that seemed to hang in her room like fog. Then she heard it. A cry. Soft, fragile, like that of a mother who has lost her child. "Where are my children?" Sofia slowly walked to the window. Fog outside was thick as milk. Something was moving by the river. Something white, a woman. With wet hair down to her waist, a long, translucent dress, and shoulders shaking from sobbing. She was almost sliding across the grass. Her head was hanging down. When she stopped and slowly raised her head, Sofia froze. The woman had no eyes, only empty, shiny black sockets. Her mouth was wide open, much too wide, as if she were screaming forever. And then she looked at Sofia, right through the glass. A gust of wind blew the window open. Candles went out. Something invisible filled the room. Sofia wanted to scream, but her voice died in her throat. She felt cold, as if she were being sucked through the window. But then Dona Esperanza rushed in, grabbed her by the arm, and pulled her back. "What have you done?" He looked her in the eyes. Sofia could barely speak. "What was that?" "She has seen you now. From now on, you will hear her every night. She will not rest until you come with her." The next morning, Sofia tried to leave the village. But all the roads were blocked. Fallen trees, mudslides, a collapsed bridge. The villagers ignored her, as if they had already buried her. Only Esperanza let her in. She gave her a silver cross, but said it won't stop her. It will only slow her down. That night, Sofia heard crying again. It's not just by the river this time, right outside her window. She didn't dare look. She felt the presence. Something moved at the edge of her bed. She heard water dripping softly on the floor. When she looked down, she saw footprints. Wet. Walking slowly to her bed. Sofia woke up, her feet cold and wet. When she looked around, she no longer saw a room. She was outside. In the water. In the river. The fog surrounded her like fingers. La Llorona stood before her, silent, menacing. Her hair stuck to her pale face. Sofia tried to move, but her legs refused. She felt something pulling at her ankles. Small hands. Children's hands. They pulled her down into the water. Sofia gasped for air, but water filled her lungs. And as darkness took over, she heard a whisper in her ear. "You are mine." Days later, villagers found her backpack on the riverbank. Her camera was in pieces. Her notebook was wet, but one sentence was still legible, hastily scribbled. "Where are my children?" Sophia was never found again. But since then, people say they no longer hear only La Llorona crying by the river. They hear two voices, two women, both searching for something that will never return.